Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur, Darkchylde, and welcome back to Let's Replay Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. As you can see, I am on the episode select screen from the Apollo Justice trilogy that just came out. And now, no longer doing the episodes on my iPhone like I was the previous 3 episodes. So it'll be smooth sailing for recordings for me from here on out for the rest of the trilogy series. Last time, we just did the first day investigations for episode 2, A Monstrous Turnabout, where we're playing as my favorite lawyer, Apollo, as he goes to a event that's happening in Ninetales Vale with his sister, her Trucy, and they meet here a girl named Jinxie, who is a maid at the Ninetales Vale Manor. And the event that's happening there is called the Monster Yokai Craze. But during the event that happened, a murder took place in the manor, and the main person that is our client for this case is Jinxie's father, Damien Temma. We are also introduced to Athena for the first time as Apollo in this episode. So, let's see how the first day trial goes after all our investigation. And very convenient for this trilogy game, we can choose what episode we're on and what part of the episode we're on. So, let's get started. April 18th, 2027, 9:15 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Are you okay, Athena? You've been really antsy ever since we got here.
I'm just excited. This is my first real court case after all.
Yeah, a real ball of excitement she is. I know just what she needs. Athena!
Hey, didn't you ever learn about indoor and outdoor voices?
I'm just trying to show you the best way to relieve your pretrial jitters.
By scaring the daylights out of me?
No! I find that shouting, "I'm fine," in a loud voice, he's really relieves stress. It's part of my Cords of Steel voice workout. Oh, and a must before every trial.
You want me to shout? Here?
That's right. Here. I'll go first, then you try. My name is Apollo Justice, and I'm fine!
Alright, I'm Athena Sykes. And I'm fine! I think that actually worked.
I thought it might help. Always works for me. An old friend of mine from junior high and I say it all the time.
I see. A proven remedy to calm the soul. I like it. Hey, how about we finish off with a race around the courthouse?
The point is to relieve stress, not get totally exhausted. What's all the racket, you two? Mr. Wright! Just a little voice workout. Hey, what's with the suit? Oh, this? I was thinking about getting my attorney's badge back, that's all.
That's all? That's huge news! But why now?
I have a feeling I'll be needed in the courtroom again sometime soon. But we can talk about that another time.
No fair! Inquiring minds want to know!
But wow! I'm so used to him in his usual laid-back clothes. That suit make him look like $1 million. By the way, have you heard about the prosecutor assigned to this case? Yeah, he's serving time, but before that, he was a prosecutor. He also uses psychology? That's right. I've heard the rumors about how he was back before his conviction. Using the power of suggestion, he could make even the most stalwart defendants confess. Psychology in a courtroom. I've been hearing a lot about that lately. So, he must be a pretty scary guy considering he's a prison inmate and all. So they say. They also say he'll cut you down if you talk too much.
Ah! I knew he was gonna be bad news.
It's probably just a hyperbole. Well, at least I hope for your sake.
Wait, so is it true or not?
Let's just say you should probably be conscious and choose your words carefully. If you like to keep that head of yours attached to the rest of your body, that is.
Yikes! Better tone down my cords of steel, too.
So, are you all ready? It might be a good idea to check the court record again before stepping into the court ring.
Right, Mr. Wright. But I'm fine.
I'll be watching from the gallery. Good luck.
Thanks!
Okay, let's do this.
The odds of pulling this off are ridiculous.
Honestly low,
But that's nothing new.
believe in our client. Seek the truth. That's all we can do.
Hang in there, Mayor Tenma. Here comes justice!
Court is now in session for the trial of Damien Tenma.
Apollo Justice, defense team leader, is ready, Your Honor.
I'd know that booming voice anywhere. As chipper as ever, eh, Mr. Justice? But who is the young lady next to you?
I'm Athena Sykes, Mr. Justice's junior partner and fresh out of law school.
Well now, full of beams too, Excellent. Makes an old man feel young again. Now, for the prosecution. It appears the prosecution is not ready yet. Never fear, for I shall explain. It's just a minor protocol complication, Your Honor. The prosecutor, for this case, is being escorted from prison as we speak. Prison? Oh, yes, of course. I almost forgot that he is currently serving time.
Yup, Prosecutor Blackquill's an inmate. But even a convicted murderer still got a job to do and duties to perform.
Hello, Simon Blackquill. Who is that with his back to us over there?
That's him. I'm sure of it. Prosecutor Blackquill.
Ahem. Is the prosecution ready? Enough jabbering. Get on with it already. Of course. Forgive me.
Why are all the people related to this case so scary?
Very well. Prosecutor Blackwell, your opening statement, if you please. What's the matter?
Must we continue to fritter away time like this? It is all right there in the indictment. An opening statement would be pointless.
Pointless? Oh, well...
Looks like the cat, or in this case, the prosecutor, has the jug's tongue.
But we need an opening statement as an overview of the case at hand.
Well then, your baldness, if it's so very important, why don't you do the honors?
Who, me?
There's a term for people who whine and fuss about how they need silly, useless things. And then decide they no longer want them once it's theirs. A selfish old fool.
Huh?
Wait, was that the prosecution's opening statement? Old daughters, hers such as you, are a plague upon the young. A pity your poor grandchildren, or is it great-grandchildren?
All these years, I thought the opening statement was the prosecutor's job. But I suppose I could give it a try. Might be a nice change of pace.
What? He actually fell for that? That must have been the power of suggestion Mr. Wright was talking about.
The opening statement, huh? Let's see here. The victim was one Rex Kubai, a alderman of Ninetales Vale. And the defendant, Damien Temma, mayor of Temma Town, is accused of his murder.
And why, pray tell, was the mayor arrested?
His prints were on the murder weapon. Plus, he had a motive. The elimination of the biggest roadblock in the municipal merger. The caretaker and the secretary, other potential suspects, both have alibis. And his daughter, who was also in the vicinity, he at the time of the incident has no motive.
So in a nutshell,
I'd have to say the charges against the defendant are incontrovertible.
Bravo, your boldness. Your years of experience shine bright like your head.
Ho, flattery will get you everywhere.
He's playing Simon and Says with the judge.
Moving right along now, let's hear from the first witness for today, Detective Fulbright. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I am the detective assigned to this case, Bobby Fulbright. Oh, and I'll also be keeping tabs on old Blackwell here. I also heard you would provide protection if it ever came to that.
It would seem that I have been sorely underestimated.
Wait, who's protecting who from what? Still, I truly believe anyone can turn their life around. Oh!
Fulbright, save your platitudes for the funerals. Get on with your statement.
That's the spirit! Justice must be swift and true! I see it in your eyes! There is hope for your rehabilitation and return to society! I will never give up on you!
Prosecutor Blackwell doesn't seem to intimidate Detective Fulbright.
Well, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss.
Oh? So that's why Detective Fulbright was assigned to Blackwell? He's so oblivious?
Now, let's have your opening statement, Detective Fulbright. You got it! But first, I'd like to say the defense that justice will ultimately prevail.
About the murder.
Alderman Kubai, he was murdered with the spear that had been on the wall. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Emma, were found on the murder weapon. At the time, Alderman Kubai was asleep. From a drug he unwittingly ingested. Mayor Emma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back.
Alderman Kubai had already slipped some kind of sleep-inducing drug?
That's right. The accused was scared because the alderman was a former wrestling pro. So he slipped him a drug to make sure he'd be out cold and defenseless. Here's the autopsy report to prove it. And the victim managed to attack his attacker despite being impaled by a spear? That sounds almost superhuman. Is it even possible? Well, he was a former pro wrestler after all. That spear was probably nothing more than a mosquito bite to him.
Objection!
Not so fast. Don't try to brush it all off by saying that the alderman had been a pro wrestler. Do you really expect us to believe that he could fight back after being skewered by a spear?
Ever heard of incredible feats of which man is capable of in a pinch, have you? Like the samurai of yore, wrestlers can battle through intense pain. It sharpens their senses. I used to talk about it with a former wrestler I met in the clink.
I don't know. It still sounds a little far-fetched.
Does it now? Then perhaps we should test that theory on you with the edge of my blade.
I didn't sign up for this!
And so your life is spared. For now.
Please, let those shackles be made of titanium. I don't want to die! My investigations are as thorough as they are foolproof, or my name isn't Fulbright. I vow to resign immediately if I ever make a false arrest.
The accused prints were on the murder weapon, and he's the one person without an alibi. Quite decisive evidence, wouldn't you agree, Your Baldness?
The defendant is sounding guiltier by the minute.
Yes, the judge leaning towards a guilty verdict. And the trial's only barely begun.
What's more, a curious rumor about the accused is making its rounds. They say he seeks the merger for the purpose of freeing Tenma Taro from his imprisonment. Truth be told, I can think of no real reason to show interest in that backwards burg. Perhaps he's a complete nutter and really doesn't seek to release an imaginary demon. Either way, he is a raven mad and more than capable of murdering the alderman.
That mayor is strange, all right. I heard he won to a blood drive. I couldn't read that. Order! There will be no gossiping in my court.
Your Boldness, please take a gander at those charms plastered across his cranium. I hear they're meant to keep him safe from possession by the demon Tenma Taro. Then again, perhaps he's already under the demon spell. Behold! The lunatic appears poised to lunge at you at any moment.
The rumors and quirks of Mayor Tenma have no relevance to this case. Besides, those charms on his head, they're just a fashion statement, I think.
Come to think of it, such things don't seem relevant to this case, do they?
The prosecution will refrain from dragging our client's reputation through the mud.
Oh, what a dreadfully fearsome lass we have here.
Phew! Thanks for that lifeline, Athena.
Careful, Apollo. Oh, he has the judge dancing in the palm of his hand. The power of suggestion is one of the more powerful tools in Simon Blackwell's arsenal. He's trying to manipulate everyone's impressions to suit his objectives.
This guy really is bad news. In any case, it seems the victim did manage to defend himself despite being impaled. What sort of weapon did he use against his attacker? None other than this statue right here. It appears to be a statue of two strange creatures locked in a battle.
Two yokai, to be exact. On one side is the nine-tailed fox, and on the other, Tenma Taro. Quite interesting if you think about it. It's as though this very case were rendered in art.
Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Alderman Kubai was murdered with a spear that had been to the wall. So those weapons on the wall of the Fox Chamber, I presume those were real? Don't you think keeping real weapons around home like that is rather dangerous? No matter what he collected, the alderman insisted it be the real deal. For instance, he had a real demon's club in his possession. Apparently, one of his ancestors claimed it after defeating a demon in battle. What? That's gotta be an old wives' tale. The alderman was pure, unadulterated justice flowing in his veins. Whatever he did it right. We've lost a real champion of justice in his death.
Nothing but a claptrap and boulder dash, if you ask me. Now stop your blethering, bleating, and tell us about the weapon.
Your wish is my command. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Emma, were found on the murder weapon. It doesn't make sense if you think about it. Prints could be easily wiped off. You do have a point there.
I venture to say he did not wipe off the prints because he could not.
What do you mean? Looks like he wants you to figure it out. Well, don't just stand there, show him who's boss. I'm totally lost. So why don't you just tell me the answer already? I don't think he saw that plea for help. You feeling alright, kid? Running a fever, perhaps? I wish trials came with a reset button. Well, the specifics may yet come to light. Please proceed, Detective Fulbright. At the time, Alderman Kubai was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Come to think of it, a coffee cup was found on the floor. Was the sedative in his coffee? Bingo! We found traces of sleeping agent all over the inside of the cup.
And that is why he was out cold. That is until he leapt to his feet upon being impaled by the mare.
What an awful way to wake up!
A rather stimulant eye-opener, if you ask me. I too would have risen to the attack, for to die in battle is the samurai way. Paradise awaits fallen heroes, but that hole in his stomach would make eating a challenge.
Prosecutor Blackquill, please! Those morbid jokes of yours have no place in this court!
Says the jester in detective's guise.
Moving right along. Mayor Emma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. So the alderman was drugged because he was really strong? Did you see those rock-hard muscles of his? I'm surprised the spear even managed to pierce that armor-like musculature. I admit, I'm completely jealous of that righteous body of his. Well, he did look pretty buff, even in that suit he had on.
Quite a difference between when compared with a yellow belly like you.
Yellow belly? Who even says that anymore? Yeah, and the color's all wrong, too. Oh, I know. How about a squishy red tomato?
I move to strike both of your comments from the record.
Mr. Justice's character is not the issue here. Now, let's get back to what happened after the far more muscular alderman was impaled. Yes, well, your average person would likely have died on the spot. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back.
Objection!
Did the alderman really strike the mayor? What? Are you questioning my sense of justice? Your so-called justice needs to find itself a pair of legs to stand on. You claim the alderman struck back after the mayor put a spear through him. But the statue who he supposedly used to defend himself creates a major hole in your theory. It would appear that the defense has a counter-argument. Very well, let's hear what the defense thinks is odd. What about the detective statue theory? There are no fingerprints. There are no fingerprints on this supposedly crucial piece of evidence. And if you look at the crime scene photo, you will notice that the alderman isn't wearing gloves. Yes, I believe that is quite gloveless indeed. If he touched the statue with his bare hands, he should have left some fingerprints. Detective Fulbright, you did take that into account during your investigation, didn't you? This can't be happening! Did I arrest the wrong man?
You did it, Apollo. You knocked Detective Fulbright off his high horse.
Well, it's just 1 point in our favor.
Who do you suppose clubbed the mayor if it wasn't the alderman?
Well, if it wasn't the alderman, that means someone else must have clubbed the mayor.
You mean there was a third party there in the Fox chamber?
Exactly. And this could be the big break that we've been looking for. There does seem to be a hole in the prosecution's argument. Prosecutor Blackquill, would you care to respond to the defense's assertion?
The least you could do is look at me while I'm being dismissive.
Your mind is as dull as an unhoned blade, Justice Dono.
Justice Dono? He's been watching way too many samurai flicks.
It will take more than that to cut down Simon Blackquill. A whelp such as you has no hope against my superior swordsmanship.
This is a trial, not a sword fight, Prosecutor Blackquill.
There is a perfectly good explanation for the lack of prints on the statue. You might recall that blood-stained cloth found at the scene of the crime. Well, it just so happens that the blood was the mayor's.
So, what are you getting at?
Hone your mind, boy. Why was there blood on that cloth? Solve that riddle, and you shall see that the hole you thought you found is but an illusion.
Now let's see. How was that cloth used? It was used... Maybe the alderman wrapped the statue in the cloth? In short, he wasn't touching the statue directly when he used it to strike back at the mayor. Ah!
Precisely. Bully for you, boy.
It was nothing.
Apollo, don't let him start manipulating you too. You just closed the hole for the prosecution.
I did.
Ah, I did!
Right. That a statue wrapped in a cloth would leave no fingerprints is as plain as day. But this also proves there are no holes in our theory of the alderman striking back.
Oops. Ah!
Now, do you see how dully your mind is?
I'll make sure to sharpen it next time.
A particularly frightening inmate once told me that. He always tenderly honed his blade. It's before he went to work, like the samurai of yore.
Samurai? Sounds more like a homicidal maniac to me.
Actually, he was working in the prison kitchen at the time.
Wait, so the inmate was a murdering samurai prison chef?
It would seem that the victim and his killer were the only ones there after all.
I was kind of attached to that hole. Now what?
Apollo, I just thought of something. If they didn't find anyone's fingerprints on the statue, who's to say someone other than the alderman didn't hit the mayor with it?
Why didn't I think of that? Anyone could have not left prints on it.
Then who, pray tell, struck the mayor with the statue? Please illuminate us with your wisdom, young lady.
There's only one answer. The real killer!
Prove the existence of this real killer, then. What evidence have you?
Oh, I'll give you evidence, all right.
Athena, are you sure about this?
To borrow your words, Apollo, I'm fine. Take a look at this. Black feathers and tracks, allegedly from a yokai, were found at the scene. I believe they're from a third party who struck the mayor with that statue.
Is the defense actually suggesting some sort of monster killed that alderman?
That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Objection!
No, Athena, we just lost us what little credibility we had left.
Ah! Sorry. Guess I got carried away.
Mr. Justice, we've no time to deal with objections between members of the defense.
Sorry, Your Honor. It's just, this kid's still, well, a kid.
Ouch. You meanie. I'm reporting you to Mr. Wright.
So, is this court to believe that the feathers and tracks are from a yokai, as you put it?
No, Your Honor. I believe they are a fabrication. The real killer wants us to believe some sort of monster murdered the alderman.
Interesting. And why do you suppose the killer would do that?
Why indeed?
Mr. Justice, you seem as new to this as your partner is.
Ouch! This I'm not reporting to Mr. Wright.
Hoy, Fulbright. Explain this to his baldness what these brats are missing. You know, the who and why behind those feathers and tracks.
What? You mean you can explain all that? Our investigative prowess is without equal. I'm starting to think I chose the wrong profession. Very well. Let's hear about those so-called yokai feathers and tracks.
Feathers and tracks.
This entire case centers on one man's attempt to crash opposition to the municipal merger. Mayor Temma panicked when the amazing Ninetales felt emboldened in the protectors. So he stoked the village's fears by fabricating a monster. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like the yokai was the killer.
Those feathers and tracks stoked the villagers' fears?
Absolutely! He knew exactly how to prey on their superstitious minds.
Those feathers only gave way to the idea that the alderman was slain by a demon. They accused Demon Temma Taro, that is.
Temma who?
Temma Taro, the legendary demon locked away in the village's forbidden chamber. From a young age, the villagers are taught to fear the great black-feathered demon. And thus, where they bind to other, more plausible explanation.
Hold on for a second, before we start letting our imaginations run wild. Isn't there someone else who could be considered as a suspect? Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. On the day of the incident, there was a special event held in Kubai Manor. And as part of this event, there was someone dressed in the likeness of Temma Taro. Obviously, this person is a much more likely suspect than any legendary demon.
Objection!
Dullard, you are playing right into the killer's mind games.
What?
Listen here, the feathers and tracks were merely red herrings. The villagers believed the murderer to be the work of the real Temma Taro. However, the police believe that the person in the Temma Taro suit is the killer.
Ah!
The defendant sought to sow his confusion in order to deflect blame away from himself. However, he was knocked unconscious by the alderman. And thus, our mentally deficient mayor was caught red-handed at the scene of the crime.
Objection!
Do you honestly believe Mayor Temma would do something so stupid?
Objection!
The evidence speaks for itself.
Fulbright. Right. It was the mayor's last-ditch effort to stop the opposition before things got crazy. The Amazing Ninetales was fueling both the yokai craze and the anti-merger movement. Plus, he's one of the better-known masked wrestlers and the hometown favorite. That's why the mayor panicked and set out on the path of injustice. But do the people of Ninetales really believe a yokai is behind this crime? Yokai sightings are an everyday event there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
I must say, a criminal that preys on innocent, impressionable minds.
Just so. A particularly silver-tongued inmate once had the following works for me. The innocent of heart are the easiest prey.
You don't say. Was this inmate a con artist?
No. He was framed for the murder of his beloved. I actually felt sorry for the poor chap.
Wait, so he wasn't a predator, but rather the prey?
Yes, well. Now then, the defense may proceed with their cross-examination. And I don't want to take too long on this, so I'm going to press what I need to and present what I need to. The entire case centers on the statement on one man's attempt to crush opposition to the municipal merger.
Hold it!
Detective Fulbright, is the anti-merger movement really that strong? Oh, absolutely! They parade around the yokai costumes shouting, "Down with Mayor Tenma!" And just the other day, they stormed Tenma City Hall claiming it was a den of vipers!
But when the accused showed his face, the angry mob scattered like leaves upon an autumn wind. For you see, lowly yokai are no match for Mayor Tenma Taro, the Dark Lord of their kind.
Wait, are the villagers scared of Mayor Tenma or Temataro? I'm confused.
I think he means Mayor Tenma. It's easy to get the wrong impression about the guy. Detective Fulbright, why do you suppose the defendant would commit such an act? Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetales helped embolden the protectors. The amazing Ninetales? No one knows his true identity, right? That's right. And he was a lone wolf. Oh, or in other words, he didn't belong to a wrestling federation. He appeared like a shooting star, defeating one Tenma Town wrestler after another. And before anyone knew it, he was champion.
Like the samurai of yours, surrounded thick with enemies, he cut them down one by one. It was a complete and utter loss of face for Tenma Town Pro Wrestling.
He was amazing! If ever there was a real superhero, it would be him! I dream to become a true champion of justice just like him someday!
I bet Detective Fulbright would be a great pro wrestler. He could even team up with Prosecutor Blackquill.
A police detective and a prisoner in chains. You know, I think people would actually pay to see that. I know I would. So you do understand the greatness that is the amazing Ninetales! So he stoked the village's fears by fabricating a monster. Did the murder and yokai evidence really stoke the villagers' fears? Absolutely! It had an immediate effect. The presumed return of the dreaded Tenma Taro has them shaking in their boots. Oh my! Is it really that bad?
That superstitious lot. It's as if Jack the Ripper has been set loose in their village. The mere thought of that demon lurking about is enough to spark a mass exodus.
I see. That's a very persuasive argument. Persuasive argument?
The mere thought of His Honor buying into Simon and the Cycle Slasher's words make me want to spark my own exodus out of the courtroom right about now.
So you see, there can only be one reason and why anyone would plant those feathers and tracks. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like the yokai was the killer.
Hold it!
But it doesn't add up. If what you say is true, why top it off with murder? What do you mean? You claim that our client planted the yokai evidence to stoke the villagers' fears. If so, then why not stop there? Why murder Alderman Colby? Excellent point. It is, isn't it? So Your Honor agrees here there was no reason for the murder, correct?
Objection!
Perhaps the killing was on the spur of the moment.
You're saying it wasn't premeditated?
From the outset, I had no intention of paying heed to any of your babble. However, the fact is, the mayor made a startling discovery.
A startling discovery? Why don't I like the sound of that?
Mayor Alderman Kubi's secret identity.
Apollo? I think Prosecutor Blackwell has figured out the Alderman's secret identity. I believe that if he has, why would it be a motive for the mayor to commit murder?
This is not good!
This patch of fur was discovered at the crime scene. It's from the mask worn by the amazing Ninetails. Therefore, we can conclude that this mask was at this crime scene.
Oh my, but why would it have been there?
The victim was a former pro wrestler and a member of the anti-merger movement. Need I say more?
Well, Ah! Could it really be?
Your boldness has had an epiphany, I see.
Our victim Rex Kubi was the amazing Ninetails! And the mayor's discovery of this fact was his motive for murder. No!
Order! Order! What a shocking development! A motive cleaner than crystal clear!
What do we do now, Apollo?
I didn't think they tied the alderman's secret identity to the mayor's motive for murder.
At last, we've reached my real point. Why did the alderman have to forge a secret identity? Does it not pique your interest, your baldness?
I admit it does. It is odd that he had to create this other persona just to secretly participate in the anti-merger movement.
Very astute of you, your boldness.
Right! Now take a look at this! If you value your dearest life, you will merge Ninetails Vale with Emma Town.
This blackmail letter was found in Alderman Kubai's pocket.
What?
At present, the alderman's wife is in the hospital. And that letter is clear evidence the mayor was blackmailing him by threatening her life.
Wait, didn't the blackmail letter her sent to Mayor Temma go missing? Right after the alderman's murder?
You think maybe the killer took the letter from the mayor after the murder and planted it into the alderman's pocket?
It's possible, but we don't have any proof that that's what happens.
Talk about being up a creek without a paddle! Mayor Temma would have made a clean getaway if he just left after planting the yokai things. But he was knocked out cold by his sudden decision to kill the Amazing Ninetails. So it was the Amazing Ninetails' counterattack that brought the entire crime to light. Wait a sec. Fulbright's claiming that the mayor killed the alderman after planting the yokai evidence? And that the mayor was knocked out cold immediately after that? Detective Fulbright, please add your previous statement to the testimony. Mayor Temma killed the sleeping alderman after planting the feathers in tracks.
Objection!
Detective Fulbright, your sense of justice is anything but fair. What's this? You dare question my justice again? Yes, and I'm going to prove it to you. By taking a look at this photo. This is the crime scene photo. And just what does this prove? It proves when the feathers, and tracks were planted. But I already told you! They were planted after the murder! The defendant planted the yokai evidence and then knocked out while killing the victim. But that would be impossible. If you look right here, it's clear when the feathers and tracks were left at the scene.
Take that!
Aren't you pointing at the yokai feathers and tracks, Mr. Justice? Yes. See how the feathers are on top of the blood and the tracks were made in blood? In other words, the yokai evidence could have only resulted after the murder. The mayor must have planted the evidence after killing the alderman. But you said it yourself. The mayor had been knocked out unconscious thereafter. There would have been no time for him to plant any evidence at all. Therefore, there must have been someone else besides the mayor and the alderman at the scene of the crime. There must be some mistake. Order! Order! Where's your evidence? You can't possibly have any, can you? Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. In fact, I have an eyewitness testimony for you. You do? But how? Was my vaunted sense of justice really just half-baked?
He's taking this really hard.
Mr. Justice? What is this testimony regarding a third party that you claim to have?
I have it right here. Mayor, Your Honor, it's the sworn testimony of Mr. Tenma's daughter. The witness, Jinxie Tenma, saw a yokai in the hallway after stumbling upon the scene. It was the demon Tenma Taro. That's the source of the feathers and tracks. Will somebody please say something?
The defense will explain to the court exactly what he means. You dare mock this court and justice itself? You're unfit to bear your name, boy!
Your baldness, it appears our defense attorney here is delirious from exhaustion.
Apollo, think of something quick before you're held in contempt of court. What do you think I'm trying to do? Before you decide whether I should step down, please, hear me out.
Very well, Mr. Justice. I'm all ears, but you had better explain yourself well. What was this yokai you were talking about?
It's all in the statement here. Jinxie Tenma asserts that she saw Tenma Taro. After she discovered the crime scene and called the police, she came around the corner, in the hall. It was around here that she saw Tenma Taro fleeing toward the foyer. The defense asserts that whoever was impersonating this monster is the one who left the feathers and tracks behind, intentionally or otherwise.
What? How incredibly unjust! Why haven't I heard anything about this before?
The defense just proved there was a monster there? Apollo, the momentum has shifted into our favor. Good. Now let's keep it that way.
Objection!
Ah, fudge.
Little do you realize that though you are in the midst of a fray, your sword is broken.
My sword? I didn't know I had one to break. Are you implying that there's a problem with my claim?
Consider this. If that yokai impersonator had indeed fled toward the foyer, that fool and that fop would have seen him.
Fool and fop? Oh, you mean Filch and LaBelle? Now that you mention it.
Both Phineas Filch and Florent LaBelle were in the foyer at the time. But they haven't stated that they saw a yokai, have they? Did you ever consider that yokai was but a figment of a scared little girl's imagination?
Why didn't those two see Tenma Taro impersonator pass by? Why don't we ask them ourselves? I was just about to say that myself. No, I really was. The defense would like to call Mr. Phineas Filch, who's caretaker of Kubai Manor, to the stand. I just know he must have seen something.
I suppose we can't ignore the fact that the little girl believes she saw a monster. I trust you have no objections to Mr. Justice's request, Prosecutor Blackwell. I understand that Mr. Filch is enjoying a nap out in our lobby.
I knew that Tanuki. He was a rare find. But when we captured him, I didn't think he'd end up as a witness. Do what you want with him.
Did he just say capture? No, wait. I don't want to know. Very well then. Bailiff, please go awake Mr. Filch and escort him to the witness stand. Will the witness state his name and occupation, please?
The name's Filch. Phineas Filch, caretaker of Kubai Manor. Oh, and this is for you, your lordship. Just a little something I thought you might like.
Oh my! What a fabulous pair of shoes! And your honor will do you just fine, Mr. Filch.
It's those shoes again.
Don't they belong to Detective Fulbright?
Don't tell me Filch stole them again.
They're all yours, your honorship, sir.
What? But they seem awfully expensive.
Yep, too expensive for me, but I reckon they'd be perfect for someone like you, your lordship.
It's kind gesture, but legal ethics dictate I can't accept such gifts.
Ethics, mythics. Just take 'em if you want 'em. Polish 'em up real nice for you, too.
I'm sorry about the shoes, Mr. Filch, but I will accept your testimony. The court would like to hear whether you saw Temataro in the foyer after the murder. Guarding the foyer.
At the time of the murder, I was on guard duty in the foyer, just like Mr. Kubai asked. I was making sure no one, fair soul, fishy or otherwise, could get hit to our guests. I was still in my office keeping a good watch when the murder happened at 3 p.m. But I didn't see nothing out of the ordinary, no siree!
That yokai you keep jabbering on about was a phantom of a little girl's dreams.
So you're telling this court you never saw anyone dressed like Temataro?
Yep, I was guarding the whole time. That's the truth. The holy truth. And nothing but the truth. And Temataro? Bah! You don't really believe in that yokai mumbo-jumbo, do ya? I certainly don't.
Huh? My bracelet. It's...
Something the matter, Apollo?
My bracelet keeps squeezing my arm.
Really? So you think Mr. Filch has been lying to us?
I wouldn't rule it out. Now, if I could just zero in on some sort of nervous habit... Yeah! What the... What's a hawk doing in here?
Allow me to introduce my trusty cohort, Taka. He seems to have taken quite a liking to the courthouse. Made it his new home, in fact.
He doesn't live with you. You know, in jail. Who's ever heard of a courthouse bird?
Taka simply loathes trickery and fraud. And that queer power of yours seemed to have offended my dear Blossom Buzzard.
This isn't some sort of trick or... Yeah! I won't be able to spot squat like this! Well, what the heck's going on around here? Run for the hills!
No pets or other animals allowed in the courtroom. Somebody help!
Oh, he's merely having a bit of sport. He won't harm you, save when truly famished.
In that case, Prosecutor Blackwell, you will ensure your feathered friend is properly fed.
Looks like we have to do this the old-fashioned way.
We'll be fine, I think. If there was someone dressed as Tenmataro there, Phil should have seen him. We'll just have to put out our faith in Jinxie's statement for now.
Mr. Justice, please proceed with your cross-examination.
And we already know he's a liar. So I know the statement where he's lying. At the time of the murder, I was on guard duty in the foyer, just like Mr. Kube asked. I was making sure no one, fair, foul, fishy, or otherwise, could get to our guests. I was still in my office keeping a good watch when the murder happened after 3 p.m.
Objection!
Don't lie to the court like that, Mr. Filch. Hey, it ain't right to bushwalk a fella like that. Unfortunately for you, I have evidence that proves you're lying. If you look at this TV listing, you'll see that at the time of the crime, there was a pro wrestling match scheduled, something you never miss. Ah! I didn't watch it. I didn't watch that one. No, sorry. I was doing my job, just like I was supposed to. This guy doesn't know when to give up. Mr. Filch, someone even circled the match. Was it you? It was you, right? Yipes! Not only that, you even told me you watched it. You said, and I quote, "It was a complete disaster." Ah! So, do you admit to slacking off? You can't trick me with your Rudy Poo lawyer talk. I'm one of them professional types too, who you can do double duty watching TV and the foyer at the same time. The only thing Filch can claim to be a professional of is professional theft.
Mr. Justice, you would have this court believe the witness was slacking off?
That is correct. He claims to have been watching TV and the foyer at the same time. But that's nothing but a bold-faced lie.
Bold, you say? But I'm not the one who's lying. Perhaps you meant the witness, Mr. Justice? In that case, let's see what evidence you can offer. You claim Mr. Filch is lying about watching TV and the foyer simultaneously. Now prove it.
Here you go. Take a look at this diagram. Him on the TV facing in the. Take a look at the direction the TV is facing in this diagram.
Now, unless Mr. Filch has eyes where his right ear should be, I think it would be impossible to watch the foyer entrance and the TV at the same time.
Why, yes. Someone watching TV there couldn't possibly see the entrance.
Exactly. And that means, Mr. Filch, you were slacking off and were not watching the foyer as you claim.
Yipes! The cat's out of the bag, or I mean, out the way around.
Order, order, order! But Mr. Justice, is Mr. Filch's less than stellar work ethic relevant in this case?
It's very relevant because while he was slacking off watching TV, there really could have been an Emma Taro impersonator in the foyer.
Objection!
What now?
Granted, this Tanuki was lax in his duties, but he still had the foyer entrance covered.
What are you talking about?
This.
I'm not a mind reader.
Yeah!
Auditory sense. His eyes may have been slacking off, but his ears were still hard at work. Right, Tanuki?
They were? I mean, yes! Yes, they were!
But you already admitted to slacking off. Now you say you weren't?
My eyes might be lazy, but my ears ain't. I would have heard anyone in the foyer. You see, the foyer floor and stairway get all creaky squeaky when someone walks on them. Creak, creak, creak. Loud enough to wake the dead, I reckon.
So, you're saying you didn't hear anybody walk by?
Yep, my ears were working full time. So who's the liar now, you no good shyster?
A lying thief calling me a shyster? This has to be a new low point to my fledgling career.
Gotta hand it to you, Mr. Blackquill, sir. You really are something else. I mean, you don't miss a thing. And them bags under your eyes, they're darker than mine.
Fair warning, Mr. Filch. Taka is particularly fond of Tanuki. Should you lie this court again, you may suddenly find yourself on the menu.
Yipes! Please don't eat me, Mr. Taka, sir.
The witness will henceforth testify truthfully under penalty of painfully bird attacks. And with that in mind, the court requests that the witness revise his testimony accordingly.
Years working overtime.
It's true. I was watching a pro wrestling match on the office TV. My eyes might have been slacking off, but my ears, they were working overtime. The floor there's all creaky, squeaky like. Hey, no way I would have missed someone walking by. So you see, there weren't no Demetaro in the foyer.
Superstition is the religion of feeble minds. Understand? A simple, rational explanation is best. Forget yokai, demons, and such. We must use common sense, for lacking that, our entire world would be but upside down.
Says the convict prosecutor who is totally a sign of the end times for the legal world.
And besides, if there were any yokai roaming about, I'd nab 'em and sell 'em to the zoo.
I wonder whether Jinxie was seeing things. That seems to be the general consensus, but I'm sticking to my guns. But if we can't prove she saw Temataro, the mayor's sure her to be convicted.
Then we better hope my guns are full fire bullets, not BBs.
The defense may cross-examine the witness.
And let's try to wrap this up with this guy.
It's true. I was watching a pro wrestling match on the office TV. My eyes might have been slacking off, but my ears, they were working overtime. The floor's all creaky, squeaky like. No way I would have missed someone walking by.
So you have pretty good ears, Mr. Filch.
As good as they come, I'd say. Ain't nothing to hear but creaky floor. Plus, that Temataro makes a sound when he goes by. It's a jingling jangle.
Jingle jangle? How does he do that?
It's that staff of his. That's what jingle jangles.
What is he talking about, Apollo? Beats me, but I guess Temataro has a staff that makes noise? Come to think of it, didn't Jinxie mention something like that too? She said she saw Temataro holding a staff-like object that made a jingling noise. I guess that's the source of the noise then.
Well, Mr. Justice, Mr. Filch says Temataro jingle jangles. Would you consider that vital information?
Yes, very important. Extremely vital. I request that it would be added to his testimony.
If Temataro was to pass by, his staff would have gone jingle jangle.
Objection!
Temataro's staff made a jangly sound, you say? Well, I'm going to say that your story doesn't add up.
Is there something the defense would like to share with the court?
Mr. Filch, you say that you didn't see Temataro on that day of the incident. Then why did you assume just now that Temataro would be holding a staff? Huh? You see, Temataro, Jinxie saw, held a staff in his hands. And she described it sound just like you did, as kind of jingly-jangly sound.
Yeah, so he was holding a staff. What's your point?
Objection!
The point is, Temataro doesn't use a staff. Not normally.
What are you talking about?
You see, this is the only known document depicting Temataro. Is there a staff in that picture, Mr. Filch?
You're right. There's no staff. Not even a cane or walking stick.
Yak!
So the question is, why does the witness think Temataro uses a staff?
I believe the answer will overturn the prosecution's case on the most basic level.
Well now, this is getting interesting. Alright, Mr. Justice, it's time to show the court where you're going with this. Please tell the court why Mr. Filch believes Temataro carries a staff.
Because he actually saw Temataro. Mr. Filch actually saw Timataro right after the crime occurred. That's the only way he could have possibly known about the staff.
Busted again!
Bloody hell. Oh, you depicting.
Yes. How's that feel? How does that feel, oh Black Quill? Not so fun when you're on the receiving end of a blade, is it? Admit it, Mr. Filch. You did see Timataro that day, didn't you? Well?
I'm begging you, please don't make me say it!
But clearly you did see Timataro. Stop stalling and testify to that fact.
No can do! No way, no how! I ain't going... You ain't got no idea how terrifying he can be!
He? Mr. Filch still won't admit to seeing Timataro, even though everyone knows he did? The question is, why? Mr. Filch is scared to death. Is that why he can't admit the truth? Come to think of it. They say you must not gaze upon Timataro. Oh, but in the event that you do look, and then tell anyone what you saw, Timataro will claim your soul. Jinxie wouldn't admit to see Timataro after hearing about the village superstitions. She said that if she told anyone that she had seen Timataro, he'd claim her soul. Wait, you think Filch believes that too?
So Mr. Big Time City Slicker Lawyer had heard about it? Them old village superstitions?
Will the defense please explain what the witness is talking about? The people of Ninetales Vale believe some pretty strange things, and their superstitions may be the reason our witness here can't admit the truth. The truth that he really did see Timataro.
Damn straight, that's why. It's all here.
Ignoring the superstitions will cost you your soul?
See? That's why us folks of Ninetales Vale can't talk about seeing Timataro.
That clears up one mystery. The killer took advantage of the superstitions by wearing a Timataro costume. They knew that way no one could talk about him, so it was as if he never existed. The defense holds that this Timataro impersonator is the true killer. What?
Objection!
Superstitions, you say? What kind of a foul fool would actually believe such rubbish?
And who would that using some silly fairy tale who could so easily expose the culprit?
You need to come up with a more rational, common sense explanation than that.
Objection!
Your common sense seems awfully narrow-minded to me, Prosecutor Blackquill.
Objection!
Try living in my world of narrow cells, mortal danger, and dark, sleepless nights. There is no lack of superstitions in the Clink, but few of those who truly believe in them.
Objection!
Well, the village superstitions are real enough to the people of Ninetales Vale. A life or death superstition might make even you a believer. Order! Order, I say!
You fool of a Tanuki! 2 times now your lies have cost me!
Sorry! Hey, I promise not to do it again!
Taka, my fine feather friend, have at him!
Yipes! He's gonna eat me alive! Head for the hills!
He took off! Bailiff! What are you waiting for? After him! And with your fastest men!
That's certainly not something you see every day.
Well, it would seem a new and important fact has come to light. A third party disguised as the yokai Tenmataro was at this crime scene. And now we have 2 witnesses who can attest to that. Any objections, Prosecutor Blackquill? Uh-oh.
What?
Huh? Ah! His shackles! I'm too young to die!
Justice Dono, long has it been since I've been forced to draw my blade. You had best say your prayers.
Detective, do something! Have no fear, Fulbright is here! Here, when the going gets tough, the champion of justice gets going!
Objection!
Then get going already before he kills us! Oh, but I stand in awe of Simon Blackquill, for it is his sense of justice that set him free! Objection! Objection! I object to Detective Fulbright's definition of justice!
Silence!
I'm not in the habit of cutting down unarmed cowards.
Oh, well, in that case, Prosecutor Blackquill, can I ask you to, I think the judge forgot he's in charge here.
So, Justice Dono's assertion is this: Tenmataro is the real killer, not Mayor Tenma. According to him, there was a yokai at the scene of the crime.
Right. And that yokai, or rather whoever was impersonating him, killed the Alderman Kubai.
Silence!
Ah!
Care to explain why Jinxie, being the first to discover the murder, did not see the alleged killer, her yokai, there in the Fox Chamber?
What? He's right. She said nothing about Tenmataro being in the Fox Chamber.
Let me enlighten you. That little scamp heard a dying man and scream right before she opened the chamber door.
And your point is?
Upon opening the door, she found a freshly skewered murder victim, the alderman, and the homicidal maniac who had killed him, the mayor.
No. Oh, there must have been someone dressed up like Tema. Ah!
Then, why doesn't that little scamp claim not to have seen the yokai in the fox chamber?
Considering her father is accused of murder, surely she would have mentioned any third party that might have been in the room.
I don't understand. Why didn't she seat Mataro inside the fox chamber?
There is but one way to find out. Ask Jinxie Tenma whether she saw your killer yokai at the scene of the crime.
Uh-oh.
The final battle draws nigh. Only one of us will leave here alive. Long as my blade thirst for blood, at long last it shall be sated.
Wait, this is still a trial, right?
Show me what you're truly capable of. Justice Dono!
Very well then. Both parties no doubt need some time to regroup. So the court will take a 10-minute recess in order to... Brr!
3 minutes.
I'm sorry, but a 3-minute recess?
Just so. Plenty of time for your destination to intend to the loo.
The loo? You mean the bathroom?
Jeez. At least include enough time to wash your hands.
See that you make no more than 3 minutes. Any latecomers will be punished.
Yes, sir. I hereby declare a 3-minute recess before the battle begins.
I declare Prosecutor Blackwell the winner of this round of Simon Says.
Doesn't bode well for us if the prosecutor is running the show, does it?
He busted out of his shackles.
Yeah, what was that all about? Guess they don't make shackles like they used to.
Better be careful, Apollo. Oh, you've really brought out a samurai in him. Especially after you proved there was a Temataro impersonator in the manor.
What's with that guy in the whole samurai act anyway?
Such a fine swordsman. That is no mere act. Mr. Justice, it's high time I challenge this jailhouse prosecutor to a duel.
No, wait! Hey, let's save the dueling until after we prove your innocence.
I suppose it could wait until later.
Does anyone remember we're conducting a trial here? Athena, I'm going to go wash up.
Remember what Blackwell said, Apollo. Don't be late.
Now then, I believe our next witness is Jinxie Tenma, a maid in Kubai Manor. I believe we can proceed now, if the witness is ready, that is.
Now, Raihan, leader of the 100 demons, he really does exist! Wow. Oh, that is one well-polished tray.
The witness will show her face while in court, or her testimony will be inadmissible. What is it, my child?
Be gone!
I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but, well.
Leader of the 100 demons.
Ho ho ho. Oh, you think I'm a yokai? Well, I was once known as the judicial monster of sorts. The beast of the bar, the demon of due process, if you will.
My charm has no effect! The demon of due process? Not sure I can see that one.
Now, you little scamp.
Yes?
I trust you know why you're here.
Bags.
Bags? Oh, that tricksy tanuki? They had. Try the noodle stand, and go enjoy a big bowl of tanuki tail noodles while you're at it. Everyone's a comedian.
No, I meant your bags. It's the one under your eyes. You must have trouble sleeping. Here, this charm will keep Asukariara away.
Yukir. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that name.
Azukirai. The yokai that washes azuki beans. The only things needed washing will be your father's neck before I take his head off.
Asukariari. He often keeps people up at night with the noise he makes washing beans. But if you stick this charm to your forehead, you won't hear him anymore.
Is that so? Well, thank you.
Looks like Prosecutor Blackquill got more than he bargained for.
They're bad enough alone, put together. Those two are just plain creepy. Your testimony, if you please, Miss Emma. Specifically, whether or not you saw Tembataro when you discovered the crime scene. What Jinxie saw.
Did I see Tembataro in the Fox chamber? Well, when I opened the door, I saw... Yes! Now I remember! Yokai! Yokai! Right there in the room!
So there was a yokai at the scene of the crime?
Uh-huh. Lots and lots of them.
Wait, more than one yokai? Did Tembataro happen to be among them?
I don't know. I just don't know. All I know is the room was swimming in yokai. Kasha, Niraikable, Shito, Tashio. They were all there.
Well, this is an unexpected turn of events, and we've gone from no yokai to a flood of them.
This is ludicrous. You would have this court listen to this delusional little scamp's testimony?
Your Honor, I believe her memory is simply clouded by fear. But a quick therapy session should ease her mind. With the court's permission, of course.
What a fabulous idea! Please proceed, Miss Sykes.
You sure you know what you're doing, Athena?
She's obviously not herself. The trauma of discovering that crime scene and fear of testifying have her dazed and confused. A regular ball of confusion. But my analytical psychology-based approach should be able to help.
Any objections, Prosecutor Blackquill? Shall we let Miss Sykes proceed?
It makes no difference to me. Do as you will, but I doubt we shall get any viable testimony. She'd be better served by bearing witness to the sword skills I forged in the distant land.
I'll show you. Did I see Tamataro in the Fox chamber? Well, when I opened the door, I saw... Yes, now I remember. Yokai! Yokai! Right there in the room! Found something. Looks like an out-of-control emotion.
Athena? What exactly are we looking at here?
Oh, this? This is one of Witch's functions. Right here you can see images and emotions extracted from a witness's voice.
Whoa, you mean that little thing can do all that?
Pretty cool, huh?
And here I thought it was just some kid's toy.
Unfortunately, all I'm getting is an overflowing error right now. See how sad is brightly lit there at the bottom left? She's under uncontrollable amount of distress, which is making her other emotions. It seems the sheer terror she experienced made her a confused mess.
So, all these yokai she thinks she saw are a product of rampant emotions?
Yes, that's right. Her fear has instilled in her hallucinations and false memories. She's seeing normal everyday objects as monsters in her mind. It's a form of schizophrenic hallucination brought on by emotional trauma. And the trauma in Jinxie's case is fear.
So she was, and still is, seeing ordinary objects as yokai?
We'll have to find the root of the cause of her extreme fear before we can treat it. Now let's see. Apollo, can you point to the yokai on the Wheel of Fire? She seems particularly terrified of that one. Start by pressing with L and point to what's causing Jinxie's out-of-control emotion. Finally, hit probe again with X to try and get the heart of the matter.
Okay, let's give this a try.
Jinxie, what's the name of the yokai on the Wheel of Fire?
That's Kesha, a yokai that steals the bodies of the recently deceased. I bet it's keen to steal the aldermans.
It's almost creepy how well that fits the actual situation.
Exactly. It's a form of hallucination where the patient can't see things for what they are. There must be something at the scene of the crime that she's mistaken for Kesha. Apollo, you need to point out what she thought was a yokai on the Wheel of Fire.
I think I know the answer now. Jinxie, that wasn't a Kesha you saw. Could you please possibly have mistaken this for Kesha?
Take that!
The light fixtures?
It's this one right here. It has a flame design, and it's up there on the ceiling. There was never a yokai on a Wheel of Fire. The Kesha you saw was just the light fixture.
That's one memory back to normal. Nice job. Now, now that you got the hang of it, it should be a cinch to point out the rest.
Jinxie, what about the white wall-like monster?
That's Nirakebe. Nirakebe. It's a wall monster that blocks your way and leads you astray.
That's no yokai, Trixie. It's just a folding screen. And this raccoon dog isn't a tanuki monster. It's just a statue of one. And look, there's just coffee cups. And this right here, it's nothing more than a fox statue. I didn't read that fast enough. Noise level 50%.
You did it, Apollo. Her extreme fear is under control now. It was all just my eyes playing tricks on me. There weren't any yokai after all. See? A clear-cut statement. That's the power of my psychology and your intuition, Apollo. And just like we thought, there were never really any yokai in the Fox Chamber.
Right. There were never really any yokai there. So the defense is asserting the exact opposite of their original assertion.
Wait, Jinxie? What about Temitaro?
There wasn't anyone there dressed up as Temitaro, or any other yokai either. I remember it clearly now.
You've gotta be joking! Order in the court! I think we just dug our own grave.
Allow me to push you in. It's the least I could do.
No!
Apollo! Oh, can I interrupt your freak out for just 1 minute? I'm still picking up some noise. It's an unexpected emotion.
Does that mean Jinxie hasn't remembered everything yet?
Exactly. We should be able to get something else out of her. I'll enter the new information we have and run the update.
Okay. Let's see.
Did I see Tamataro in the Fox Chamber? I was so scared when I entered the room. My legs gave out, and I fell to the floor.
Got it!
The amount of fear you felt is rather low despite your legs having given out from fright. Could something have lessened your fear?
Actually, I did experience a sudden burst of courage at that moment.
You did? Where did it come from?
Let me think. Oh, it was Mama. I suddenly felt as if she was there with me. Okay, I'll enter this certain burst of courage. Now, let's see. Ah, look! Apollo? Oh, the noise is all gone. Jinxie seems to have remembered everything now.
A sudden burst of courage? Now where could that have come from? Jinxie? Was there something that gave you a sudden burst of courage?
Yes, there was, but, I realized I've done something naughty when he thought about it later. Any idea what could have given Jinxie that courage?
Well, there is one piece of evidence that comes to mind. I wonder if she saw something like it at the scene of the crime. Jinxie, did your sudden burst of courage have something to do with this?
Take that!
Jinxie, you didn't happen to see a nine-tails flower there at the scene, did you?
The demon lawyer strikes again. I can't hide anything from you. I found a small case with a picture of a nine-tails flower on it. I liked it so much I kept it.
You what? You can't remove evidence from a crime scene! That's right, young lady. Removing evidence is a big no-no. Now, the witness will produce who said evidence this instant.
Sorry.
It does seem to be some sort of case. Oh, look, something slid out. It appears to be a key. Might I have a look, your boldness? This is none other than the master key to the Kubai Manor. Are you certain of this, Prosecutor Blackquill? It matches the serial number of the key that went missing after the murder. The master key that went missing? Why don't I like the sound of that? Our little scamp here has stumbled upon an article of unimaginable consequence. That's a little melodramatic, don't you think? Heed these words, for I shall say them but once. The sole key to the Fox Chamber has been in this little scamp's constant possession. Ergo,
She was the sole person who could use it before, during, and after the murder. Which leaves the Master Key the only other key that could have opened the chamber. But this Master Key was found in a room that had been locked by this girl.
And your point is?
Until Jinxie Temma opened the Fox Chamber with her key, the room had been locked tight from the outside world. And there was no one else in there save the victim and his killer. I trust you have figured it out for yourself by now. A killer other than Mayor Emma himself would be utterly inconceivable. No!
How could this happen?
The defense's assistant will refrain from growling her frustrations. Athena, are you alright?
I know Mirtema's innocent, but there's nothing we can do. This sucks.
Sykes, Dono. Allow me to put you out of your misery.
Can I decline your offer?
Abandon your client and your misplaced faith in him. Let the relief of a clear head and a clean conscience come rushing in. That will make the inevitable guilty verdict far easier to accept.
Great. Now he's playing Simon Says with us. Well, he's not going to fool us with this stupid mind games. Athena, don't fall for his tricks.
Now I'm the one who's dazed and confused. I can't even think straight.
Hey, are you alright? She fell right into his trap!
Now, I suggest you make a mad dash from the courtroom and into the wild blue yonder. Only by running, shall your mind be clear and your conscience cleansed.
Objection!
Alright, I'll be back.
Stay with me, Athena. Don't let yourself be twisted by that samurai.
Apollo?
Mr. Justice? I heard the word objection, but what is it you object to? Huh? Oh, right. That objection was more of a reflex than anything else. Though, I was hoping something would come to me while I was trying to stop Athena. The court is waiting, Mr. Justice. Though, as it stands now, I'll be forced to declare your client guilty and your legal skills suspect if this is it. Now, do you have anything that could overturn the prosecution's case? Well, actually, I do. I'm Apollo Justice, and I'm fine!
Apollo? Oh, you do have something more than your cords of steel, don't you?
Not really, but we'll be fine.
But...
I've got absolutely nothing, but that's never stopped me before. I have to explain how the real killer could have escaped that locked room. Because it's all over if I don't.
Apollo, this calls for a new approach. Try to think outside the box.
Or in this case, inside the box. And what a doozy that locked room is, too.
Well, Mr. Justice, do you have anything that can counter the prosecution's argument?
You bet I do. The real killer must have escaped from the locked room one way or another.
Vague conjecture shall only earn you a taste of my blade, Justice Dono.
Time to do or die, literally.
The defense will now explain how it would be possible to escape a locked room.
You sure about this, Apollo? Can you really explain what happened?
I'm fine. We just need to think this whole escaping a locked room thing over from the beginning. So, let's see. If the killer had escaped, how could he have done so?
The choices are pretty limited. The room has a window, but it doesn't open wide enough for anyone to jump to get through, and there's a sheer cliff outside. As for the air vent, it's up too high, and there's nothing you could stand on to reach it. And needless to say, the Forbidden Chamber wouldn't open no matter what we did, so that's out.
Yeah, that's why we gotta keep the situation simple. Like they say, simple is best. We need to rule out the absolutely impossible escape route. Then whatever's left just might lead us to how the Fox Chamber was compromised. Your Honor, the defense proposes that the killer escaped through here.
Take that!
The hallway door? Well, yes, I suppose that would be the only way out.
It would appear you've already forgotten. The only available key until Jinxie Temba came on scene, he was within that locked room. How would one exit the Fox Chamber and then lock it without a key,
I should have seen this coming.
Remember, Apollo, keep it simple.
Simple, right. I could understand if the killer had exited the room with a key, but...
Well, Mr. Justice, the prosecution has some fine Japanese steel waiting unless you explain yourself quickly.
I'm fine. I can explain myself. The reason the Fox Chamber's hallway's door was locked was because... What if the room was locked from the outside? In other words, the killer took the key through the hallway and then locked it. Youch!
Considering this, the master key was found inside the tightly locked Fox Chamber. Any assertion that the key was removed from the room is a blatant contradiction of fact.
Exiting the room before locking the door would require taking the key outside, but the key was found inside the room, which does seem like a contradiction.
If only I could explain that, both. Like, how the key could be inside the room and be locked
Redo. Like how the key could be inside the room and be used to lock the door from outside.
Well, let's see if the defense can respond before Prosecutor Blackquill draws his sword. How could the master key be at the crime scene despite the room being locked tight?
Threw it from the outside? What if someone threw it into the room from outside? You know, something like go out the hallway door, lock the room, and then toss the key back through the window. That would explain how the master key could be inside the locked room.
And where do you throw it from? There is a cliff outside the Fox Chamber window. Throwing the key from there is an impossibility.
Oh, right. Ah! I wonder if the key could have been tossed from somewhere other than the window. Somewhere other than the window. Could the key have possibly been tossed in through somewhere other than the window? Yes. Here.
Take that!
The air vent? Yes, the window may be out of the question, but the air vent's not. Oh, that's right, the Fox Chamber's air duct leads out into the hallway. That's right. The real killer entered the air duct from the outside, from outside the Fox Chamber. Then dropped the key into the room through the vent inside the chamber.
That's preposterous.
Oh, that explains how the key got in there after it was used to lock the door perfectly.
Mr. Justice, I'm afraid I'm a bit confused.
Don't worry. I'll explain it even so your honor can understand. First, the real killer, disguised as Temitoro, murdered the alderman in the Fox Chamber. Then he hid the room through the hallway door and locked it. Next, they entered the air duct from the outside in the hallway. Finally, the killer tossed the key into the room through the air duct in the ceiling there. All that was left to do after that was to go back through the air duct and flee the manor. Well, Your Honor, could that be any clearer?
Amazing! Even I could follow that.
The judge seems really pleased. That explains everything. The real killer was someone dressed up like Temitoro. And there was someone else other than the mayor and the alderman in that room. Hey, it looks like that lawyer has been a jailbird prosecutor. I couldn't read all of that.
Order! Order, I say!
Now that I have proved the possibility of a third party, I don't see how your client could be guilty.
Silence.
A valiant effort, Justice Dono, but your final thrust missed its mark.
Huh?
Both that little scamp and the tricksy tanuki saw the yokai after it left the room. But then what? Did that irksome yokai, simply go through the foyer and waltz right out the front door?
That's exactly what happened. The killer fled from the... Ouch!
Well, that's impossible. Without being spotted by the foyer security camera, that is. The electronic eye here would have captured that pesky little yokai trying to escape. However, there is no sign of Temataro anywhere in the security footage.
What?
Save for the foyer entrance, there is no other way to flee the manor there, is there?
I don't feel so good.
Wait, I believe there is one other way to escape besides the foyer entrance. There's a large window in the foyer. It's possible to escape through there without being seen by the security camera. Hey, you're right.
Silence.
Must I point out every crucial detail to the defense? It seems you lack only brains, but investigative prowess to boot. That is the cliff side of the manor. The only killer escaping that way is a dead one.
No!
Wait, so the killer didn't escape through the foyer window?
What the heck, right?
Huh. I suppose your next proposal is the killer sprouted wings and flew into the sunset.
That would mean the killer really was a yokai.
If only we had some sort of evidence that could point to the flying killer.
Who's saying we don't? As completely far-fetched as it might be.
What? You're saying that you can prove a killer can fly?
Whoa! I thought I was the one with the cords of steel. Oh, I can't wait to hear this. Your Honor? What evidence do you have that the killer flew away?
Take that!
Take a look at this special edition paper. Temataro, real or flight of fancy? What does this article prove, Mr. Justice?
The photo in this article was taken shortly after the murder. Maybe the yokai in the photo is the killer shortly after they fled out the window?
Mr. Justice, you're not seriously suggesting...
Oh, I'm serious. I mean, it all adds up. The killer, disguised as Temataro, flew away, you know, by some way or another.
Silence.
It is your brain that has flown the coop. That image is not but trick photography or some other form of artifice.
Okay, then, how about the Temataro figure Mr. Filch saw? It just vanished into thin air.
No, there is a rational, common-sense explanation for that. That infernal yokai, our tricksy Tanuki witness, never reached the entrance. He, or should I say she, turned back before the camera electric's eye.
She? I don't like where this is going one bit.
Now the fact that we know the yokai had come from the Fox Chamber. means that it was likely either Mayor Damien Temma or his daughter Jinxie Temma. However, we know that Mayor Temma was already unconscious at the time.
Gulp. Not good. Not good at all.
Do you understand the gravity of the situation now, Justice Dono? The falsified yokai remnants? And the appearance of Tematoro were the work of one individual? And that individual is none other than Jinxie Tenma.
No! Order! Order! The defense will stop competing for the greatest freakout ever!
The little scamp was, no doubt, simply trying to protect her father. And it's no wonder that her suspicious mind conjured up this mad masquerade.
Prosecutor Blackwell's assertions make perfect sense to me. It's far more convincing than saying the killer escaped by flying out the window.
Did you truly believe that this could end any other way?
Did we fall right into his trap? What do we do now, Apollo? Our case no longer stands without a real yokai. If only we had one.
Bailiff, seize her. It is time I interrogated her as the samurai of Yorwood.
Hold it.
Mayor Temma?
This farce is over. How does it feel seeing your own daughter accused for a cover-up most foul?
Tematoro's true identity is...
Now, Mr. Mayor, it would be futile at this point to claim you were the yokai. After all, your head's been knocked out cold by a blow to the skull. Slipping into a yokai costume and roaming about the manor would be all but impossible. Consider this well. As it stands, your daughter will be arrested for obstruction of justice. But if you confess, the prosecution would be willing to overlook her little yokai farce.
Confess? The defendant intends to confess?
Wait. Apollo, Prosecutor Blackwell's up to his mind games again. Mayor Temma, no! Don't fall for his twisted words! If you're sent away for murder, Jinxie will be left all alone.
The real killer is...
Mayor Temma is going to confess unless we do something. But I can't prove how the real killer could have flown away.
Caw, 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 caw! Look upon me in despair. Ripe is the time for my return. Uh-oh. I should watch what I wish for. Caw, 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 foolish mortals. I am Tematoro, the yokai you seek.
Mayor Temma?
Silence! Hence, I am Temataro, freed from the bonds binding me from the Forbidden Chamber. Behold, the return of the Demon King!
What the?
Demon King?
Well then, and I think it is a time for take a vacation. The witness will, he will explain himself. Are you saying you're Temataro, the yokai we've been chasing this whole time?
Indeed, it is I, Temataro, the one who you seek. He come to reveal the truth. This child is Temataro, who you say? Ha! What nonsense!
So,
Mayor Temma, is a yokai now? Caw, 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 caw. His body is now mine.
so you're saying that Mayor Temma is being possessed by you? And that the yokai that Jinxie Temma and Phineas Phil saw, and the one captured in the newspaper photo, those were all you?
The accursed power of these warding charms prevent me from revealing my true form. Your boldness. Can't this not be interpreted as an admission of guilt?
Well, a confession by a yokai would be quite unprecedented.
Be that as it may, the defense's case has been overturned.
Huh? What?
You claim the yokai that little scamp saw was some third party, the true killer? The one who escaped from the locked fox chamber? But it was thus accused all along. Ugh! Ironic, is it not? Your yokai turned out to be the real to be real in a manner of speaking. For the ultimate killer is none other than Mayor Temma and the yokai at the scene. That too was Mayor Temma, or should I say, our dear Temataro. The pieces have all fallen into place. How so, Prosecutor Blackwell? It seems I must spell it all out for you. Mayor Temma killed the alderman in the Fox Chamber, which was locked at the time. He then removed the warding charm from the Forbidden Chamber door. But then, he fell unconscious from the blow the alderman had delivered to his head. That's when his daughter, Jinxie Temma, stumbled upon the scene of the crime. The little scamp fled in terror upon the spirit of Temataro. Freed at last from the charm's warding effect, took possession of the mare. The newly freed Temataro then fled from the fox chamber. So you see, the yokai Jinxie Temma saw was her father possessed by Temataro.
Objection!
But when we arrived on the scene, the mare was found unconscious. How's that possible if he was supposed to have flown from the foyer window? Then what? Do you mean to say the maid of Kubai Manor, Jinxie Temma, was Temataro? Oh. Ugh! Caw, caw, caw! Huh. That too is easily explained. Flew about, held that for a time I did.
It but presently tired. Heard Ira made for the Forbidden Chamber. But alas, exhaustion took me unawares. Hers in the Fox Chamber, and I knew no more.
It would seem the pieces are still in place.
Is Blackwell up to his tricks again?
I don't know what to say. Hey, is the defendant a real life?
So the rumor of Mayor Tema is true? I knew yokai were real. You mean he really did kill the alderman just so he could release Temataro?
Order! Order!
Now he's got everyone in the courtroom believing in yokai. It's Simon says on steroids. He wants to convict our client any way he can, even if it means blaming a yokai.
The proverbial ducks are all in a row. You should have no qualms about finding the accused guilty, Your Boldness.
This is one of the most bizarre cases in my entire career. Otherworldly, in fact. Can yokai even be prosecuted under our legal system?
Objection!
Mayor Tema is just pretending to be Temataro to protect his daughter. Plus, I already proved how a third party he could have escaped from the locked room. A verdict at this point would be premature.
Since both sides have raised valid points, I have no choice but to...
Silence.
This is the dark age of the law, where defense attorneys are not to be trusted. This is but ploy to gain time for them to fabricate evidence. How will I sleep tonight? Knowing you will not let the sun rise on the mayor's day of reckoning. Justice Dono.
Objection!
I won't fabricate any evidence.
Silence.
Then prove it by joining me. A night in the clink will ensure you will not succumb to temptation.
How about I just promise not to succumb to anything?
We have both evidence and a confession. The killer is this yokai before us. It is beyond dispute. A guilty verdict is all but...
What's wrong with him?
Prosecutor Blackwell, I have enough of your hijinks. The foundation of justice is fair play, and we are in a serious violation of that.
What in the devil was that? Fulbright, have you tampered with my shackles in some manner?
Ha ha ha! It seems you found that quite shocking. It's my special Jill of Justice device. It's each press of a shocking reminder to behave.
You shall pay for this. I, Simon Blackwell, vow to...
Your Honor, you need not fear now. I believe Prosecutor Blackwell will remain on his best behavior.
A bit late with the reassurance, aren't we, Detective?
Well, in that case, this concludes today's deliberations. The prosecution and defense will use this opportunity to further their investigations. This court is adjourned. Oh boy, do we have a doozy for this episode. For what's to come. And that concludes today's episode of Let's Replay Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you want. Ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. All of this helps my channel to grow so you have more videos to enjoy. Until the next episode, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks.